basically how this goes is I got a string of questions to ask you. They're
Sure, sure.
they're kind of generic questions,
Hmm.
but realistically, they kind of give you an idea of who you are. It's the kind of the point of it's an introduction. Um, I know it seems a little silly or whatever because you know, especially when you're established as a musician, people saying, "Hey, where you from? What brought you to this place?" It's like, well, I've been doing this for 47 years. It's just something that I know how to do or something I've been doing.
Hmm.
So always kind of have to let people know. Um, I do know that you have been working in a lot of local establishments doing the bar scene thing.
Sure.
Um, part of part of this artist spotlight um, gets you. I'm working with Remy on this actually. Um,
Hmm.
we're doing intimate encounters. It's a chance for you to have a 2 3 hour set. You talk to your audience. You get to know them. You play songs that matter to you, but it's more of a introduction of sorts. I know it's a little bit weird for me to be discussing outside of. I mean, you're already pretty well established locally, but it's a show. It'll be video. It'll be put online. It is an introduction to you as an artist. You get to play the songs that you enjoy. That basically that display what your style of music is, who you are as a musician, and it's like 100-person venue. It's something real small and intimate. Sound like
Hmm.
something you'd be cool with. Would you enjoy
Yeah,
doing that?
it sounds nice. Is that the club he's doing karaoke and things like that in, or is it a different
We're
the Lips?
doing some stuff at Lips.
Uh huh.
We're doing stuff at other venues as well, but for this particular thing, we're shooting for Lips. We're doing it on Tuesdays, on days that I don't normally open.
When you ask on your questionnaire, tell me about your most recent concert. You mean something I played or something I attended?
Something you attended,
Okay, cool.
because when you play your own music, you play your own music. But what you would pay to go see says a lot about your interest in music. You know what I'm saying? Like I tell people, the last people I went to go see was Rehab, the band, and people are like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "They're a southern rap rock group that made their uh, made their bread and butter on songs that are a little bit discouraging for the most part. It's set in an environment that has faults, so to speak, and that resonated with me as a kid because wasn't nothing perfect in my life, and it was all the struggle just to survive every single thing I did. So that was uh, something that was cool with me. So I asked that question to get those same style of ideas from the people that I talk to. A lot of people haven't been to a concert in years, so that's always fun. Again, it's a really informal thing. It's
Yeah,
not
sure.
a it's not a super deep thing. It's not
Of course.
how you've been doing music for how long now?
I started um, in a band like in 2003, and I started playing music on my own in like 2008. Um, which I'll tell you in the interview. But basically, I picked up the guitar because as a singer in a band, the band would kept telling me, I don't want to learn this or I don't want to learn that, and I was like, you know what, I'll do it myself. And so it just kind of went from there. I didn't know how to play guitar, so I had to teach myself, and then I started writing songs on it, and then it's evolved into now just playing solo. Just as I've gotten older, it's I like it more. I like being
Yeah,
on stage with a band, but when you're on your own, it's you can do whatever you want, and you can do whatever the crowd wants, and it's there. You don't have to hope that somebody else is in the mood to do that. So,
right,
yeah.
right.
So just about this is like my 20th year in music. I started really late. You know, I my younger years in my 20s, I got married, I had kids, I did all that. And I would sing in karaoke bars, but I would never have been in a band before. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, it just, as they got older, I got time to do it and then fell
I
backwards
definitely
into the theme. So, you know,
definitely spent a lot of time drunk singing in Lisa's lounge.
right. Lisa's Lounge. I used to do karaoke when I was younger. I did, you know, they'd have karaoke at like, uh, shoot, so many. What is Maggie's now? But back, you know, like three
You,
clubs ago,
you're
they would do
talking
like
about
karaoke.
over there in front of UAH.
Yeah, before it was Olivia's, it was I'm trying to remember the guy. He had two bars, and he had one on South Parkway. Bobby G's, that's what it was.
I
I'd go to
remember that.
Bobby
Yeah.
G's and sing like a long time ago, and um, then when I started playing in a band, I would go down to Jonathan Carter's open mic at Blackwater Hattie's when it was there. And anytime I walk in the door, Jonathan would stick me on stage because we both have the name Carter and we were friends. And he's like, "Hey man, you're here, come play a few." And then he'd go outside and he'd leave me on stage for extended periods of just like I only know four songs, and this guy's still outside smiling at me through the window, like, "Ha ha, kid, you know, have fun up there. It's fun to be a
Man,
musician." And
you were bringing the memories
um,
back, boy.
I was being ribbed, man, and but it was good stuff. Like he and Tyler were good to me, so it taught me how to fail in front of people, and
Mm-hmm.
it led to some moonlighting gigs where eventually I ended up doing my own thing instead of staying in the cover band. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to. I don't mind playing a cover song. I play them all the time. But to be the front man in a cover band with your shirt unbuttoned, like you want to be David Lee Roth or whatever, was one thing, and that was an act.
Gotta have
Uh,
the chest meet out.
yeah, and it had nothing to do with like who I was as a real person, but like put me behind an acoustic guitar and let me sing a song that I get that I like or that I wrote. Then I could just be myself on stage instead of trying to figure out what frontmen do or whatever.
Right,
And
right.
I don't know karate, and I'm not getting younger, so doing splits and stuff like that's not happening. Now sometimes I even sit down while I play. I'm not shy. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna sit down. I'm having a bad day or whatever. And I'll play like that. So whatever. That's a lot of answer. I talk a lot, so this
No, you're fine.
might have to edit this thing. Yeah.
You are fine. I actually put a bit of the pre interview in because it really does. When people aren't in the formal mood, they really show who they are as a person, and people find that really interesting, if that makes sense. So I always try to get a pre-interview going to build that rapport to really find out if you're going to be saying some crazy stuff when I hit the record button or whatever, you know. I've done interviews where I've had to chop out like 20, 30 minute sections where it's just like you can't say that, man. You can't say that.
Yeah.
You really shouldn't be saying this. I mean, I feel you. It's a thing, but we're just gonna have to cut this whole thing out.
Right.
So it's all. Where are you from, anyways?
I was born in New Jersey and I
Mm-hmm.
moved to Texas when I was young, like maybe like 5. My
Mm-hmm.
mom moved us. I was the youngest. And I grew up in El Paso.
Nice.
And then back in '89, my mom was working on Fort Bliss. She wasn't in the military; she was a civilian, and she worked there. And they offered her, you know, hey, we can, you know, close you out right now because we're shutting down your. It was called Missile Command. We're shutting down MyCom. We're moving it to Redstone Arsenal. Do you want to move to Huntsville, Alabama? And we'd never been to Alabama,
Right.
ever. And so my mom moved there in '88, and then I moved there with her in '89, and I've lived in Alabama since. Like I just moved to Tennessee 3 years ago. But I'm back and forth all the time. So I live in Middle Tennessee now, but I
Mm-hmm.
really just kind of consider myself to be from Huntsville because that's where I went to high school, I went to college, and all my friends live there.
Yeah, I moved here in '85.
My brother
Same
lives
thing.
there. So I went to Johnson High School.
Mm-hmm.
I went to UAH. All of my roots are there. All my kids were born there. You know, so I guess when people ask me now when I'm traveling or just around where am I from, and I just say Huntsville, Alabama.
Yeah.
It's been my home for 30, 40 years now.
Yeah, we came out of Fort Campbell in '85, so I was a little baby, but that's how we got here. As my dad was here in the '70s doing missile repair, and he thought it was a great place to raise kids because you can't really get in any trouble. And I mean, it's very true. There's really nothing to do at all. So you would run around Walmart, or you would play football, or do whatever. So you kind of touched on this a little bit. What did get you into music?
My parents were musicians.
Hmm.
Like I don't know that I meant to be one,
Hmm.
but it was
Hmm.
I think it was in my blood, and I used to sing and write songs when I was a kid, but I never took it seriously.
Right.
Both of my sisters perform. They're keyboard players and they sing in bands, and so I watched them do that growing up. And I don't. I used to sing along with records, tapes in my car, whatever. Um, One day, just I got lucky in the '90s. A guy asked me if I wanted to sing in his band, like the late '90s, and they needed somebody, and I was really shy. I actually dodged the tryouts twice. I made up excuses, and the third time I went in, we were having an okay time, and then I improved War Pigs
Mhm.
because I grew up listening to Black Sabbath, and it was a rock band, and they were doing some modern stuff I wasn't aware of at the time. They were doing like Incubus songs and things I
Mhm.
hadn't ever heard, and Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I have the least rhythm. I'm not a cool guy to sing songs that people can dance to. I didn't consider myself that. So I was like, well, maybe I could do this rock song. And when we got done, they were like, oh, we want you. Because we had a lot of fun doing it. And uh, I just kind of fell backwards into a band.
Nice.
I was singing '90s alt rock tunes and '80s classic rock tunes in really awful bars. Like my first show was at the Sports Page. It was dark and terrible,
Nice.
and my voice cracked, and I had a headache at the end of the night, and I loved it, and I was like, I want to do this, and then here I am.
There she wrote.
It's evolved. It's way different for me now. I would never try to go back and do that again, but that was how I got into it.
You don't want
Now
to sing Californication, you said?
we were doing Humpty Hump, which never became a big hit, but like the song was on the radio at the time, so we were doing that and singing Crazy Bitch,
Mhm.
stuff like that was on the radio, and it all worked out. But now I'm like, when people make fun of Nickelback, and I'm like, yeah, but I sang their songs for 3 years and I made some good money.
Right. Right.
But I wouldn't do that now. But then again, I had somebody last year ask me if I knew a Nickelback song, and I was like, no, I don't. Wait, maybe I do. And then I just started
Everybody
playing
knows
one.
picture.
I was like, I guess I know
Everybody
one.
knows picture.
So yeah, I think that was it too. That was the one I did. It was like, oh, this is like 3 chords. I can do this, and I wasn't embarrassed. I was like, whatever, man. Because I'm just as easily I'll slide into like a Taylor Swift song and do a set over for Kayla at Voodoo Lounge because she likes it. And if nobody else is listening, I'm like, well, shit, I'll do 3 in a row till you stop me.
Right.
I have 2 daughters. I love girl music.
My 11-year-old definitely dislikes it when I put on the T song.
Uh,
He's like, "No, man, don't do that." And my daughter is 8. She just loves it. She loves torturing her brother, but she's also a Swiftie. All right, so we kind of touched on this one. What do you do for fun?
you know, um, I live, like I said, in Middle Tennessee when I moved up from Huntsville, and sometimes I'd live in the city, but mostly the county, and I just liked staying in my house. But now that I live up here, any of the free time that we have, and the summertime heat dies down a little, I just go hiking. I mean, you can find me anywhere around Tim's Ford at the different hiking trails, and my girlfriend and I will go walking, and I'll just bring my cigar box guitar and just walk along. I'm not writing music. I'm not doing any. It's just like a relaxation thing. And sometimes it at first worried me, like we don't even really talk sometimes while we're hiking. We just enjoy the nature of it.
Hmm.
And at first that kind of bothered me because I'm a word person. I talk so much all the time. But
No.
I was like, what's wrong? She doesn't want to talk, and I'm not talking, and finally it clicked that like this isn't about that. This is about getting back to not nature itself, but like your own nature,
Hmm.
and being quiet, and absorbing that, and it's really refreshing, and I wouldn't give it up at all now. Like my friends want me to move back to Huntsville, and I'm like, nah, I can drive down and do stuff, but you have no idea what it is to just be quiet. There's no background noise here. There's very little light source
Hmm.
from electronics and whatever, and so it's really nature. And I grew up in that in Germany and in New Jersey. I missed I guess the trees and nature,
Hmm.
but I didn't realize how much until I got back to it. So
Right.
really, I don't do much. I'm very um, quiet and peaceful. It's my kind of my habit and hobby. Like I just sit and I don't know. I'm 50 years old, so I've been a loud drinker and I've been a party guy and I've done all these other things, and then I gave a lot of my life to raising children, and now it's just my time, and I'm like, man, I just want to relax and put my feet up and just do nothing. And
I
and
hear
there's
you.
such value in it. That sounds boring to me, but that's
No,
my
that's
my hobby is peace.
perfectly acceptable. I went hiking the other day because my wife did invite me to hiking. And I was like, what
Yeah.
if I wanted to go? And she was like, all right, fine. And then I got halfway down this mountain. I'm like, well, I guess I live on this mountain now. I'm not getting out of here. These
Mhm.
rocks are going to just break my ankles. I'm just here now. Every 100 feet up, I'm like, nope. I'm part of the woods now. I'm just gonna live on this tree.
I hear you.
All right. So most recent concert, one you've attended.
Um, I've been to a few, but the ones that meant something to me recently, I went to see Duran Duran finally.
Nice. Nice.
I'm a kid in the '80s, and I never got to do that cool stuff. Like, and I
Like smoking the mall.
my first real concert was sorry, in Huntsville, Alabama. A friend of mine took me to see Van Halen, and I loved it. But like I missed kind of the '80s with pop bands and stuff. So I saw Duran Duran recently, and actually this Thursday, a week from today, I'm going to see Depeche Mode. It's like
Nice.
a realization of a dream. And the person I'm going with, we've been friends since like we were in the seventh grade, no, sixth grade together. So these are our first two concerts we ever went to, but we've known each other since we were 12. And so it just means a lot to like not only go experience an '80s band that I never got to see while they're still around, and I'm still around, but
Right.
I also get to do it with a friend of mine that might have gone with me if I had still been in El Paso as a teenager. Maybe we would have done this 40 years ago, 30 years
Maybe.
ago. So it's
Maybe
really
maybe you'd been able to afford the tickets back then.
yeah, I don't know. I think I don't tell myself that, but I think my parents just didn't want to throw down that kind of cash to get me places. So I ended up seeing like Jet for free on the Fort Bliss Fairgrounds, and they were just young and Menudo. So it was such. I'm like, oh, that's cringy now. But back when I was a kid, I was like, hey, it gets me out of the house.
Right.
It's come a long way.
All right. So if you could perform anywhere, where would it be?
I fell in love. This I don't think this will ever happen. I fell in love with the Ryman Auditorium when I first went last year,
Mhm.
and I would love to be on that stage one day. But beyond that, I saw some listening room acts
Mhm.
between then and now, and if it was up to me, I would be on the listening room circuit. I'd be playing in small venues where people can sit and I can talk to them. Because I've evolved into this Americana style, I like to tell stories and make jokes with the crowd and get to know the people I play for.
Mhm.
And so if I was bumming around the country playing in like living rooms and small listening rooms, I would just be in love with that.
Do
Like
it.
that's really what I want to do. And I don't do it yet, but I have time. And I saw Berlin Thompson for the second time now over at Princess Theater. I saw him one time upstairs in the listening room, and I felt like I was his best friend while I was listening to him. And then he did the auditorium downstairs, and it was the same. Like,
Mhm.
he just made you feel so good. And I thought, man, maybe that's what I'm going to do. I can do this for 20, 30 more years as long as my hands will let me play. and,
Right.
um,
The
and
arthritis is critical.
yeah,
I got it. My
yeah.
fingers don't really like it
Every
anymore.
once in a while when I do a bar chord, I'm like, not two songs in a row. Okay, let's.
All right. So I did not dig out your track. I meant to do that as part of my setup.
That's okay.
Let me see if I can find it here.
I had to go back honestly and look at which one I sent you because I knew that I sent you an email saying, "Hey, I play music," but then I sent you a message on Facebook saying I play music, and I just threw a song up there. But then when
Right.
you said email, I was like, "Cool, I'll actually pick one, and think about it." So I was in such a hurry just to. I saw your post and I thought, man, that sounds good, and I'll bet every. I run an open mic, so I run into a lot of young, hungry musicians that just want to do stuff, and I was like, no, I want to represent um, my crowd of people, which is a little older, and we do it too.
Right.
I was very happy you responded. Even it was a genuine surprise. Honestly, thank you.
I mean, so like my whole bag was that kind of like you. I grew up in the 80s. I played piano, like classical and jazz piano from when I was like 5 or 6 years old.
Mhm.
And I did performances, I did recitals or whatever you want to call it. But when it was time for me to go into college, which is in 1999, it tells you how old I am. My parents were like, "We're not going to pay for a music degree. We're not going to pay for a performing arts degree.
Right.
You can get an electrical engineering degree. I'll pay for that. I'll pay for you to get a mechanical engineering degree, but not an arts degree." And that's really bummy for me because there's a lot of people in my family, like in my close family, like Benito Carruthers from the Dirty Dozen. That's my cousin.
Oh
You know,
wow.
Dijon Carruthers, he played for Megadeth. That's my second cousin.
Oh
Like my grandma played the piano. She taught piano. I have cousins and uncles and everything. Like Kane Carruthers, he was in one of the first ska bands in the '90s. you know, and it's like there's so many musicians in my family that were successful,
Hmm.
and my family was still like, "Ain't gonna do that." And so,
You're throwing your life away, kid.
right, right. And so I threw my life away. I went to college. I couldn't find traction because I couldn't ever really get my head into it. It wasn't what I wanted to do. I ended up working on cars for a decade until I had a back surgery. Then I got back into computers and did that until I got my wife through school. And now I'm in a position where I can actually focus on doing what I want to do without any of the extra drama.
Hmm.
And that led me into my event because it was, you know, how do I keep other people from having the same pitfalls? You know, what do artists need in order to be successful? Well, they need to know, first of all, how the business works. They need to know how to find promoters, how to talk to venues, how to promote themselves, how to do marketing. They need to know how to get demos done, how to talk to studios, what they need to do in order to actually record music professionally. And
Sure.
these are all things that even the people that graduated with performing arts degrees were not taught. They were literally just taught expertise in the piano or expertise on the classical guitar. I know there's so many people that graduated with a performing arts degree in classical guitar that all they do is just teach people how to play the guitar. And I'm like, is that what you wanted to do? And it's like, well, it pays the bills. And
Right.
that's almost worse to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you.
Because music that is done to be a business is never good music.
Mm.
I mean, it's kind of a rude way to put it, but
Now, people, they always ask me. One of the questions I run into a lot is, if I have a job or if I do music for a job. Like
mhm.
my friend Lisa asked me that last night because she's in a band, but they're older and retired, and so they just do the music now, and that's great for them. I have a job. I sit down and I work every day, and then I go play music, and I feel that it gives me a slight edge because I never am chasing a gig to make sure I can pay a bill, or to just the money. And it allows me to be selective of what I do, and then when I show up, I don't feel like I'm going to work. I just feel like I'm doing something I love, and I think I'd always like to keep that in mind. But I'm a pretty humble guy with a pretty cheap lifestyle, so as long as I can, if I got a little clothes on my back and I have my guitar and everybody around me is happy, and I got somewhere to lay my head, that's I've always aspired to that. I just wanted to be happy, and when my guitar and I found each other, I was like, this is my happy spot. Like I love this guitar, and this guitar loves me back, and so we just write this music together, and we have fun. And I wish I'd started sooner, but I don't think I was ready, like emotionally and intellectually, to be an artist and be out in front of people because it's just me. My
Mhm.
friends that are in bands are like, man, that is brave of you because it really is just you and your guitar. Like I can lean on my bass player or my drummer or whatever. I can fall back behind my singer for a second and hide if I want, or I can hide a flaw in a song. But you're just out there, and I was like, why'd you tell me that, man? That's scary. but but you're also right. I don't mind making mistakes. I just kind of giggle. It's not uncommon to see me laugh during a song because I hit a wrong chord or I sang a wrong word, and I just make a face and I'm like, whatever. Don't take yourself that seriously, man. It's just music. So
All right. So
have a good.
you sent me a song called Present Tense.
Yes, I did.
Okay, hold on for 1 second. I'm gonna get this moved over, and then I'm gonna share my screen so that you can hear it
Okay,
with me.
sure.
They tell me round and round, so driving down the boulevard, Conjures to the west winds I have yet to last. Still I travel down this road, no clear right here. I'm bound to wander. I They tell me I'm a wild one. I'm driving down the boulevard. Conjures to the west winds I have yet to last. Still I travel down this road, no clear idea where I'm bound to wander. I never find my path, so grass goes slowly, just across the fences. Still don't know just what my present tense is. Still I feel so tense. Now some may say I want to lust and I just play along because it's
easier than facing that stark reality. I have no plans of coming round with anyone I've ever found. I just breathing in my way through life in sincerity while greener grass grows slowly just across the fences. And I still don't know well what my present tense is. Still I feel so tense and alone. Well, stringless puppets lose their way. They're blown about on life's harsh winds. After sailors forming out of threads and old balloons. From parties, maybe birthdays too, and all my happy times where I was less pretending. Thought we'd never end, and half the time I'm in, well, baby, just around the bend where green grass grows slowly, just across the fences. And still don't know just what my present tense is. Still I feel so tense and still I feel so tense and alone. Feeling present, tense and alone.
Awesome sauce. All right. So like when you sent me that file, I was reading my emails sitting in my truck. I was like, huh, let me hear this because I had it connected to my Bluetooth and everything.
Right.
And then I did not realize I had the volume turned up to like 23. So like it,
Sorry.
it caught me off guard, and I was like, well, it's a good song, so I'm gonna let it play. I just need to turn it down quite a bit.
I really
And
appreciate
that's been kind of what's been going on since I started doing this. The people that have
it.
been sending in submissions have all been just really, really good musicians. And I think I'm finding out what other people already knew, that we have a lot of talented people that really need the recognition that they
Mhm.
haven't been getting. And it's been something I've been discussing, is how to get folks into the spotlight that they want to be in.
Certainly.
Because realistically, I feel like if people knew how to do these things, then they could progress their careers a lot easier
Yeah.
than they are now. And a lot of times I've spoken with people and they're like, "Yeah, you can't get 100 people to show up at a show here. You
Right.
can't get 50 people to show up." And I'm like, "Why not? These people are talented. These people, they play music well. Why can we not get people to show up?" And part of my event is introducing the people in the city to the fact that there are so many talented musicians. But like I was telling you before, we're introducing smaller and medium sized venues for the people that are signing up, because we also want you guys to introduce each other. You know, we
Right.
part of being a successful musician is networking with other musicians, networking with other producers, networking with people that run studios, knowing who fits your vibe.
Right.
And you can't do that from your couch.
Sure. Of course.
And that was something that I kind of learned the hard way, because I was like, well, I'm gonna write my music, and if people like it, they like it. If they don't like it, they don't like it. And then I'm like, well, everybody that hears my music really likes it, but I can't get anybody to listen to it. And I'm like, well, a lot of people don't really pay to listen to instrumentals either.
Right.
That's a whole thing. But what's really weird is people like overseas have picked up my music, like folks on Deezer. I'm
Mhm.
like, I don't even know what that is, but I'm getting royalties from them, so I'm okay with it. You know, I have no idea what's going on over there, but the French people, they really like me.
Look, I got a friend I met a couple years ago. My friend Rhonda Ray. She's out in Texas right now, and she's going to be at the Ryman do an award ceremony about the Josie Awards, and
Hmm.
I hope she wins. But she just went to England. They flew her out to London to win some awards. She's
Hmm.
like, I didn't even know they were listening to my music over there, but whatever. And so, you just don't know. Like the internet has made music different. Now,
Yeah.
me personally, I don't have anything out on a streaming service. I recorded some music. That track I sent you, honestly, I recorded it right here at my desk with my phone. I just
Hmm.
put it down, recorded it, and threw it up on my website. And I haven't monetized my music yet. It hasn't been because you know what? Because I don't know how, and I hadn't learned that, and now I'm sort of hearing from friends and learning it. And I didn't want to be one of those guys that just I recorded my CD and I have a little release party and 40 people show up and then nobody says anything later because I think that that kind of hurts your ego a little, you know. And
Hmm.
I didn't
Hmm.
want to put myself out there for that. And at first, when I played music live, my friends would be like, "Oh, nobody wants to hear original music." But what we would do is we would just slip it in. And I found that if I didn't announce that I wrote the song and I just played it,
They just like,
and it was a
yeah.
quality song, people got into it.
Hmm.
And I took that when I went solo to just do acoustic shows, and I was like, I can pepper in my own songs. I don't have to announce them like, hey, here's one I wrote. I don't have to say that. I can, but it's not necessary because isn't the music you write and I write? I mean, isn't that just as valuable if I want to do something a B side by another artist and that's not on the radio? What is the difference between that song and my song? And there
Right.
isn't. It's my presentation of that music.
Right.
And so I use that as an avenue to just say, there's nothing wrong with me doing half and half or one. I might show up one night and just only play songs I wrote because the crowd is intimate and we're having fun and nobody's questioning it.
Right.
But then if someone interrupts me and says, "Hey, do you know a song by so and so?"
Play
and I do, I'm happy to do it, whatever. And I have people yell that at me at Voodoo Lounge. Anytime you yell Freebird at me, you'll get a version, but it'll be like I was in a pop punk band. So you're going to hear like my Me First and the Gimme Gimme style,
That's
four times
hilarious.
faster, no solo, and I'll do your song. And every time I do it, somebody tips me or just buys me a drink because they're like, I didn't think you'd do that.
That's
And I'm
hilarious.
like, but you're going to get it like me. And that harkens back way back. I did a show when I first started playing solo shows. My brother came. And again, we're from New Jersey. This is my big brother. I was so happy he was there. He'd never seen me play music. And I didn't know how that was going to go, but I was hoping he would like it. And I did Freebird. And I tried to play it right.
Hmm.
And at the end of the show, my brother's like, "Man, I'm really proud of you. You did a good job. On the other hand, don't ever play Southern rock again because you just sounded like a weird guy from New Jersey trying to understand what the hell Southern rock would be, as if I was playing a song and it was in Spanish and I don't speak Spanish, but I was trying to read it off a screen." He's like, "You just can't do it, dude."
Justin Bieber and Desperado. Is that what you
Yeah,
said?
so I was like, never mind, I won't do it anymore. And so now it's more of a joke than anything. But I
Well, it's
feel
like
like if you have the internet in front of you and I have an iPad, and if somebody requests a song and I can read the chords and I've heard it before, I'll try it. I don't care. I'm not proud.
it's one of the biggest trolls in live music ever. Is play Freebird.
Yeah, Freebird. Well, it reminds me of that Todd Snyder story. I don't know if you ever heard it, but it makes me laugh when he said a guy yelled Freebird at him at a concert, and he told him if he did it again, he was going to stop. And the guy yelled it again, so he stopped. And when he got backstage, he was hanging out with his friend, and he's like, "Why'd you quit?" And he said, "Some guy was yelling Freebird. He wouldn't shut up." And the guy said, "That was me, man. I was just giving you a hard time." And so I have friends that'll run in and say that because they know that story. They'll heckle me, and I'm okay with it. If
I'm never drunk enough to play Freebird. Just saying.
Well, I don't play it right, and that allows you to do a lot of things. Like if you know yourself, and I know that there's a way that I beat on a guitar that is just limited. Like I'm not going to play these flying leads everywhere. I don't do that. I'm a strummer, and I just play my the idol that I look to learn how to play music was Joe Strummer because I love the Clash.
Hmm.
And I was like, I want to do that. And my emotion and my love of playing music will come out of this instrument, and it won't be the prettiest thing all the time, but at least it's honest. And if you're just yourself, and I saw an interview with Tom Morello,
Hmm.
who I thought was a fantastic guitar player in Rage Against the Machine, and he said, "Man, I had to learn how to sing, and nobody wanted to hear that. So I would go to open mics and I would just play from my heart. And if you, as an artist, could do that." And I saw that interview that he did where he said that to me personally. He was
Hmm.
talking to
Hmm.
me, and he said, "Just do what you love, and it's okay. And if it's not perfect, doesn't matter. But be honest with yourself." So every song that I write is just me being honest with myself. When I wrote Present Tense, it was about anxiety. It was about I don't have a COVID song. I didn't do that, right? But like in my life, I was going through some stuff that I didn't understand quite. I was getting my footing. Like, how do I get my life together and start being everything I can be for my loved ones, but also be true to myself so I'm not losing myself in it. And it has those lines about the grass is greener on the other side, and there are things going on, and it's hard to get your footing sometimes, but that's okay because we're all like that. And when I finally got to play that song live at Electric Bell, when I was walking around outside after, a lady stopped me and thanked me for playing the song and said that it touched her because she also has problems with, I have ADHD and I have social anxiety. I overcompensate for that with a big personality when I'm in public.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But like I said, when I'm home, I'm quiet and reserved and I'm an introvert. So all of that is stuff I learned as a performer and as a bartender, is how to pretend to be okay with this crowd around you. But really, I'm just scared to death of them, and I don't really want to be around them.
I feel it.
I love the fact that they want to be around me and they appreciate my music. So it's a compromise. But I don't want to play music from my basement and never see the face of somebody who gets it. But I don't want to be afraid of the fact that somebody might not. Like they might just go, ugh. And so I've seen people walk out of the bar when I start playing music, and I'm like, okay, I wasn't your cup of tea, but guess what? Down the road, one of my friends is playing at Green Bus. Check him out.
Right.
Go see that guy. Go see the full band. I know you want to dance, and I don't do that a lot, so go dance and have a good time. Just as long as you're out and about, there is something in Huntsville for everyone. Just like there's something in the whole country, or in fact the planet, you will find the sound you're looking for. It doesn't have to be me. But if it is, I'm really happy. Like for them, that we could touch just for a moment, and it makes us friends. Music is like a really great language for that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. So we kind of touched on this one too. Do you have any current projects you want to tell people about?
So I just started a project. When I woke up a couple weekends ago and found out that Jimmy Buffett had died,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been a fan since '93. A friend of mine turned me on to it, and I'd never seen him live. People have been inviting me to see Jimmy Buffett concerts my whole life, and I've always come up with a reason. Oh, I'll do the next one, and now I can't.
Right.
So I was listening to his music, and I picked up my guitar and I was strumming along, and I realized that I knew like maybe 10 songs, and I was like, huh, I wonder what do I know more? So I pitched the idea, and my friend Mike Callahan and he plays stand-up bass and among other things, but I love his stand-up bass, and he has great hair and a sense of humor. So we got together and we formed a band called the Nautical Wheelers, and
Mm-hmm.
we're doing a Jimmy Buffett tribute. And we just had our first show in October, and we're doing it once a month downtown in Huntsville. I don't know if I'm allowed to name drop places, so I don't
That's
want to
fine.
do that.
That's fine.
So we're all right. So my friend runs Stella's Elixir Lounge downtown.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing a Sunday thing. It's 5 to 8, so it's early.
Did they ever find
And,
that art
what's
piece
that?
that disappeared?
Where's that? I'm sorry.
I'm saying, did they ever find that door
Oh,
piece?
yeah, the sign that got stolen.
Yeah.
Yeah, same day. Somebody brought it back the next day and left it by the stairs. Yeah, that was a powerful movement in social media. They found that sign.
Right.
And it's back up now. Angela found it. No, somebody got drunk and did a silly thing, right? So
Yeah.
I wasn't there. I was there the night it came back because I run an open mic there, and that's the other answer. Like I do the Nautical Wheelers thing with Michael, and it's really been a lot of fun, and it means a lot to me to carry that torch because I don't want somebody to forget about Jimmy Buffett's music.
Mm-hmm.
Troubadours are inspiring to me, and I want to do that. And I hope someday somebody feels that way about me, and they're like, "Wow, Carter's music. I learned a few songs." But the only friend I have that knows any of my songs is Amit Chadha. He actually is the only one that's ever learned one of my songs so far. But we'll see.
Was it the spaghetti song?
Well, we did a gig one time, and I played his Lace song, and
Mm-hmm.
he played one of my songs, and we shared the stage all night, but we played one of each other's songs. And he's an old friend. I love playing. I keep telling him we need to do it again, and he's like, "We're never going to do it again, but I'll keep it in mind." And so hopefully we will one day.
I run into him at just all the crazy places. I'm like, hey, what's up?
What? Well, I see him everywhere. I ran into him at a Josh Allison show just a couple days ago. He was
Mm-hmm.
outside. He's waving at me from across the street. And I live in Tennessee, so if you see me walking down the street downtown Huntsville, that's rare. But he
Right.
meant, he saw. He took time to. I thanked him for even waving me down. But he and I met through open mic,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been doing open mics for longer than I've been playing my own music. I've been inviting people to come play music and
Mm-hmm.
introducing them and putting them on stage. And I just love doing that. Like that's my real passion for music is to actually have other musicians come up because that's how I learned. Like I told you earlier, when Jonathan Carter and Tyler threw me up on a stage at Blackwater Hatties and said, "Just play, kid," and they walked off, and I had to learn how to fail in front of people instead of just playing guitar in my garage for my kids. I needed people in a bar to hear me and tell me no and yes to what they were hearing so I could figure out what my sound was. It took me years to not sound like other people and just find my own voice.
Mm-hmm.
And I offer that opportunity every Monday night. I have an open mic at Stella's. But I started, my first one ever was at End Zone, and then it moved, and I did one at Copper Top for a few years in a row, and it just kind of cycles. My friend Tim Eggenberger runs it now, and it's a great place to go because not every musician, not enough of us are playing gigs.
Right.
And sometimes it's because you don't have time, but I also run into these people where they think they're not ready yet, and so you come in, you cut your teeth, or you throw a new song. Izzy Miller's a friend of mine, and he's like, dude, don't record this. It's about to be on the album, but I want to play it, and that's cool because you have a guy who's been doing it for 20 years show up. Or my friend Chris Doppler, I started playing music with him. He did my first gig with me ever so many years ago, and now he plays restaurant circuit, but he can do whatever he wants. Mm-hmm. And he's recorded me multiple times for free, just in his basement. Like, come on in, I love your music. Mm-hmm. And taken songs that I was gonna throw in the trash and said, no, that's a good one, and he was right every time. So I would never have met them without open mic. And it's important to me, like if I had to stop everything else and only pick one project, it would be open mic, because I meet so many people that just come in and play music. There's a young lady, I don't know her last name, but if she ever saw this recording, her name's Jayla, and she's amazing. And she played, the first time she came in, she played 2 songs. And then the next time she came in, she played 3. And this last Monday, she played 4. And she's just a young kid with a lot of friends watching her play guitar, but she's really good at it. And I want to see her in 10 years. Jane and the Huntsman. Sarah Jane and I met doing original music at Humphreys. They had it in the round, and we sat at chairs, me and like Tyler AK and Sarah and other people. My friend Chris and Travis Bean, and I don't think Amit did one, but anyway, this was years ago. Justin Chrysler put it together, and we're all sitting there playing and meeting each other and telling stories and having fun. And now I watch what she does. They just did a CD release, and she plays with Aaron Anderson. I'd met him through that open jam too. So they were so young, and now like so many years later, they're just killing it. My friend William Faulkner's off in Nashville. He played Whiskey a Go Go, but he played his first time at Huntsville. He was under 21, and I snuck him into Ensign so he could play with the band. He was like 17. Now I'm friends with his family, and he's traveling the country playing music with his projects, and it's so fun. You don't know who you're playing with. Right. You don't know who that musician is and who they're gonna be. And for me, it means a lot to watch them grow, because I've grown too. Like they get to do that. We have that relationship. Music's a family, and the more of us that support each other, I think if anybody asked me how to succeed in music, I'd say you need a good support system, and you need to make sure that you understand it's not a competition. I don't have a worse or better night because Remy has a great night. I don't have a worse or better night when a band that I know is playing right down the street and they're getting more people than me. Mm-hmm. That just says to me somebody wanted to go dance and have fun over there. Maybe they didn't want to sit and listen to this old Troubadour play, silly acoustic songs. But there's a market for all of us. And right. The Huntsville music scene will come up more and more if we all just turn around and support each other and say, yeah, good job. And, that's what you're doing with this. And thank you, because it's very helpful.
By the way, if you do want to get something to record, you can always come by the house. I'll get you set up. We'll record some stuff for you.
I got a lot of material I'd like to work on, and maybe not just record on my phone. So
I mean, it is what it is. I can get you squared away. If not me, then Maurice could probably help you out.
Right on. I'll make time. I appreciate that.
I know he's got an actual booth that you can record good vocals. And if you have an acoustic electric, you can just plug in and record it directly, and you can get the real big twist between playing live and recording your music is you have to be on the click, and you have to be very precise in how you play. It's got to be clean so that you can put the effects in later and make it sound the way you want it to sound.
Oh, certainly.
So if you try to do it on the front side, you end up having to fight yourself to get it figured out. Mm-hmm. Like I had on my previous single, the one I just released last week, I got clean guitars and I got distorted guitars, and he's like, I need more distortion on here, and I'm like, any more distortion and it's just gonna be the whole way. And so I ended up having to take it and then clean it back up, and then add overdrive, add gain, add push, add compression, to make it sound like it came out of an amp that was sitting in the floor. And it's 47 steps to reproduce something he could just plugged in and played. But when he plugged it in and played and recorded it, it didn't come through very well. And to get that sound back took 47,000 steps and tweaks and everything, when he could have just recorded it clean and sent it to me and it'd have been good. So
I had this friend, James Butler, owned a small house off Oakwood, like in the Oakwood area, and he turned his whole house into a recording studio. Mm-hmm. And how my first band came together that I fronted, it was a pop punk trio, but it started. He said, "Hey man, I want to learn how to record music. Can you just come over and play while I fiddle with things?" and he and my friend Matt Taylor, and they were in the house listening to the songs I'd been working on, and they recorded like all of them. And we were only supposed to do one, but they liked the material, so we had a lot of fun with it. And it turned into, not only did it turn into a band, but I also, I got a neat little CD out of it. He got to learn his craft, but it was the first time I'd ever. He's like, yeah, just don't sing, just play the song.
Right.
And I'd never done that. I'm like, I don't even know if I can do that. He's
It's
like, no, you
super
just
hard, ain't it?
don't sing, just play. And then wait, you're speeding up because you like that part. Don't do that. And then
Right.
here, we'll play a click track for you. And all of those things that I learned, I was like, oh, okay, this is how real music is. Yeah, live on stage, it's such a, you can go a lot of different directions with it. I'm so guilty of that. I speed up and slow down in my recordings, in my songs when I'm on stage for dynamics, or I tell myself, oh, this I'm trying to emphasize this part.
Yeah.
No, I just have shit timing.
You can do it with a recording, but you just have to plan it out. You have to be like,
Right.
all right, so you got 16 bars. It's going to be at 105, and then we have this next section that's a bridge, and it's 8 bars, and we're moving up to 135,
Mm-hmm.
and then you'll hear it in your click, and it'll go click 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 click. Click, 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 and then it goes back, and you're like, wait, I wasn't done yet. I'm still gonna play 4 more bars of my solo, and it's like, well, now we're gonna record all of it.
They said we're going to plug you in and just do this one part again, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know what that meant. They're like,
Yeah.
no, we just need you to record this one line. You were kind of
Mm-hmm.
hazy in your projection. Just sing the one line.
Right.
And I'm like, can I do the whole song to get there? Like, no, just listen and sing the one.
I mean,
Now looking back, it's silly. I could totally do it now, but back then I was like, I don't know if I can sing just one line. That's weird.
it's so much. It's so much. It's like, so like if you get people that like to do vocals and they like to listen to the whole track and sing the whole track to make sure that they're doing it the way that they envision it in their head, it's
Right.
great. Except for the fact that you're digging through gigabytes and gigabytes of vocal tracks that have to be at super high quality in order to just cut them down and use the one little piece that you need. Because when you're recording that whole thing, you got 3 or 4 minutes at where one little phrase is off, and you hear it, and you're like, well, you're just gonna record the whole thing over? No, you record that one little piece and you just swap it in, because digital work is wonderful. Could you imagine doing it on tape where you literally had to just record the whole thing over?
Right.
So
That's crazy.
right, and imagine it's at $1,000 an hour, and you make that one mistake, and you got to record the whole thing over. Right. That's why people tended to have a major recording behind them when they were doing stuff like that.
Sure.
It's substantially easier now because I can literally set up a loop and just let it play, and you can sing whatever you want to. And when something comes to you that has an inspiration that fits your style, and you find a groove and you start getting words out,
Mm-hmm.
you can just keep on recording, just play that loop over and over and over again. And then you can go through the 20 or 30 sections of actual lyrics that you spoke. And you can say, does this sound good? Does this sound good? Would this sound good with this melody? Does this melody fit better with these words? And you can just piece together a whole song off the top of your head instead of having to sit and write and wonder how the melody is going to work and wonder how the lyrics are going to work. It makes it easier to be spontaneous, but the problem is spontaneous does not necessarily always mean better. You can get good enough, you can get something that is worthy of being a song, but is it going to be, you know, good enough? Is it going to be great? Is it going to be something that would be overshadowed if you had more time to work on it, if you had a month to write the lyrics? Or is it, off the top of your head, it's going to be good enough to be a release? And I'm horribly ADHD. Like when I focus into something, I can do it. I can sit here and I can play on this piano for an hour and just run through runs and melodies and riffs and chord changes. And then somebody will knock on the door, be like, it's dinner time. And I just forgot everything that I did, forgot everything I said, forgot every word I came up with. And I got into a habit of recording myself so that I could be like, well, what was that? Was that any good? Was I just imagining that groove? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because when I was trying to do it the old way, where I was writing everything down and trying to write down bars and trying to write my music scores and stuff, I would just get like 4 or 5 bars in and just get mad at it and just give up. Like, no, we're throwing this away. I'm just gonna go work in the kitchen now.
I wrote this song for the show I did at originally Huntsville because I was like, I need more material. I need more So, but I sat down and wrote this song called "That Old Notebook," and it was about these giant notebooks I used to carry around when I first started in music before I had an iPad or just I could memorize things. But yeah, now like I'll have what I think is a good song idea, and I'll just have my guitar, and I'm like, okay, and I'll strum a little, and I'll write down, and all it would be is like some words, and like I'll write, well, this is an A, and then I come back to it like maybe even just the next day, I can't hear it, and I'm like, what was I thinking? Shh. I get so mad. I'm like, oh, I thought it was good. So yeah, I've learned quickly that I can grab my phone and just I'll leave myself a voicemail message or something.
Right.
Catch it, and put it somewhere with the sound itself. Strum my guitar a little because if you can't hear the melody, it's really hard to just pick it up from some words that are written down on a sheet of paper. It's not impossible, but for me, it's like, what was I thinking again? I don't remember what I was.
I
Oh,
have I
no.
have whole songs of just lyrics written that I cannot put a melody to. I'm like, oh yeah, it's a great poem.
Yeah.
It's just not a song. It's a great poem. Can I
I'm at
find
an age
some?
now. I'm a really good couch guitar player. Like if I'm just sitting there just doing nothing and just playing, I'm getting better and better. Like I'm learning my instruments. It's like my over 10th. I get about 10th year of playing guitar, maybe going on 15, and so I'm starting to learn the instrument. It takes time,
Mm-hmm.
and I play more now than ever, and I have fun with it. But when I get on stage, it's like none of that comes out. It's always just strum chords, sing song.
Right.
Not fancy, no finger picking, no leading.
Bar
Because when I
chords,
try to
good.
do it, I'm like, nah, this is different. Just sing your song, but it'll come. I think in like another year, all of a sudden, I'll do something on stage, and I'll be like, oh, cool, I do that at home too. Yeah, I'm humble about it, and I just like to have fun with it. I know so many in Huntsville. You throw a rock and hit like the best guitar player that you'll meet, and
It's not me.
that was never my goal. So thankfully, I'm not ashamed. Like I just
I'm a
wanted to sing
horrible,
songs.
horrible
I,
guitar player.
I'm just not. I can't drum. My feet and my hands don't agree. I can hear the beat. I can't make it at all. I started out as a bass player. I still like to play bass, but nobody ever, you don't need a bass player. So I don't play. I have a bass player. I don't need to do that. Anyway, I'm just rambling now,
No, you're
which is
good.
which is my way.
So, do you have any last shout outs? Anybody you want to thank?
When I started out in music, my first gig ever was Sports Page, and it was because Mike Roberts believed in me. And the first time I ever got fired from music was Mike Roberts because he was like, "Dude, you're great and I love you, but you're not putting anybody in the bar, and I got to let you go." And I shook his hand. So he taught me that it was okay to be honest in music, and he's always inspired me since. I always talk about, I love him. He's a pillar of our musical community. And along the way, there have been different people. My friend Chris Doppler, like I said, he recorded my songs when nobody else wanted to, and it was his idea. He took a song I wrote called Monumental Man that I thought, I don't know if I like this song, and he heard it and he said, no, run with it. And I've been playing it since. And Elaine Oakes over at WLRH wants to record it for the upcoming holidays, and she was impressed by it. That song would have gone in the trash without Chris. He's a great guy. Anybody who ever suffered through playing music with me, probably I would thank. I don't want to name too many of them, but it's you come and you go, and um, everybody who ever put me on a stage, and then recently the people over at Electric Belt who gave me a spot at originally Huntsville and just believed in me to play music for 45 minutes of my own stuff. It'd been a minute since I'd done it, and I fell in love with it all over again. Like if I hadn't had that show, it would have not led to me. Now I'm writing more, but I'm also presenting it more, and more people showed up to that show.
Mm-hmm.
My friend David and Amber Shaughnessy showed up. Tim and Ashley, all my friends. I looked out in the crowd and I saw these people. And then when I went outside, Mike Roberts was there, and he said, "You did great." And the next day I said, "Man, Mike said I did a good job." And then he corrected me. He said, "No, I said you did great. I did not say good." And I that was so kind. And then finally, I guess, to mention him again, but Amit Chadha has always been a really good friend to me in music. He and Brandon Hunt, these guys that have been playing music all over, and I think they're a little underappreciated. Uh, I saw what they did before I knew that I could do it too, and now we all do the same thing. We're all the same. That just seeing me grow, and every time I see them, they always have a kind word, and so I try to do that for them. Um, I've accidentally, I didn't see it coming. Now I've become the older guy, and I'm pushing a lot of these young kids and saying, you need to play. Get out there and keep doing it. Emma Klein's doing it right now,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the other younger artists, and the people, everybody that comes to my open mic, anytime they just walk in the door, I think they're great, and they just need to keep doing it because music's wonderful. It's powerful, and if you can, do it because not everybody can do it, and you should be thankful. It's a gift.
Awesome. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure sitting here and talking with you. This should be up within the next couple of days, maybe.
Okay.
It might be up
Okay.
tomorrow. You never know.
Thank you.
When I get it up, give me a send me a copy of your socials so I can add it to this and make
Okay.
sure that everybody can find you.
Hey, man, thank you.
And
Thank you very much.
it's no problem. I'm glad to bring light to artists that need it. And
I
if
appreciate you.
me helping you can help you help others, then we're all just helping each other. It is what it
Heck
is.
yeah, I'm actually booking for a new venue downtown, and anybody who's looking to play music, if you send me an email, it's at music at Diestone group, and
Hmm.
I'll send that to you so you can put it up there on the socials. But
Yep.
I have a room. It's a 2,500 square foot room. It's got great sound, and it's just it's not a bar. It can be a lot of things. It can be a listening room. It could be a concert thing. It can be all sorts of things. It's called the Blind Tiger,
Hmm.
and booking for that. All I said when they asked me to help with it was, look, I'm going to spend a lot of my time trying to put local artists up on that stage. We need somewhere to play. People need to hear us. I'm a friend to music and musicians, and so coming from that experience of being the one that shows up and to do this show, I feel like I'm a good host, and I just kind of want to Ed Sullivan it, and like bring people out and introduce them and put them up there and have some fun with them.
What does the fire marshal say you can fit in there?
Maybe a good crowd of like 200, 250 people if we had a good night. That's
Okay.
the limit. Um, but it's got a good sound to it. We're opening our doors this week, and I've got a couple shows lined up already. But I'm always looking for somebody. And
Well, get with me later on, and we'll set up a tour,
okay,
and I'll come and check it out, and I'll
excellent.
see what I can get done for you. Because right now we are trying to fill a bunch of venues. We're trying to get people performing everywhere we can.
Hmm.
Mainly because people need to get more music. Mainly because it is what it is. You got people that want to perform. You got people that want to hear music,
Right.
and you got venues that want to bring people in.
I think
So
so.
if we all collaborate, we can all eat from the same pie.
I'll definitely get that information to you. And if anybody sits through this whole thing and this part is in it, my best advice to anybody out there doing this is that if you don't ask, then the answer is always no. So never,
Very
ever,
true.
ever, at least put it out there. Throw that email out there. Throw that message out there. Shake hands with somebody. Tell them what you do. Because if you don't, if it's a big secret, then you only have yourself to blame. If nobody's heard your music, but you've never made the opportunity for yourself to at least present it, because a lot of people are going to say no, or you suck, or I hate your music, or whatever. I hear it. For every person that likes my music, I'm sure there's somebody out there. My own brother, who I told a story about with the Freebird song earlier, doesn't like my music. It's not his style. He'll tell it to me to my face. I love you. I'm glad you're doing what you do. It's not my style. I'm not going to come to your show. And that's my own brother. So like, people are going to be honest with you, but it's okay. And
Tell him to pay
projecting,
for a ticket to stay at home.
yeah. So he could support me from afar, and I'm like, thanks, thank you. I had a good show, but I didn't send you a copy. Don't worry.
Awesome sauce. All right, man. Well, it's been great talking with you, and I will see you later.
All right, thank you, Ben. Have a great night.